Get off
Hi,
of, there you go.
hear me? Hi, can everyone hear me? Okay. All right. Hi, I'm Dr. Wilhelmina S. Annor. I am in Arizona. Welcome to this evening's science call. My background is cardiology for over 20 years. I'm a medical provider in Arizona. Most of my training was done in England, where I trained, and then once moving here over 10 years ago, I also did a few health innovation programs at Arizona State University. I'm currently covering the West Valley for most of the cardiology services for my practice, as well as I have a medical and wellness center, which over the years I've integrated wellness and healthcare and looking at a holistic way of trying to move away from the traditional medicine or incorporating it with other services that can actually help with our overall well-being. So that is why you have me here today. And I'm happy to have my favorite person, Mary Esther Gilbert, here today to go through a few of the sciences with us today and a couple of questions that we have lined up so she can kind of throw some light on it for us. So Mary Esther Gilbert, gosh, has a lot of credentials. I probably won't be able to say all of them tonight as much as I do behind my name. But the main thing is she does have over 40 years experience as a nutrition, science, physiology, and alternative medicine researcher. She's been doing this for quite a while. And basically, she's a writer and she's taught the essential connection between understanding and basically applying complete and biological correct perpetual cellular nourishment and mastering one's health. In addition, she has a nutritional healing specialist degree that allows her to focus on fitness and holistic lifestyle as well. And she is a consultant in these areas. Also, she has developed evidence-based nutritional health improving protocols for clients with many types of nutritional deficiency conditions, as well as chronic illnesses and degenerative conditions. She's also focused on pre-surgery and post-surgery recovery. Not all, she also has taught athletes and fitness enthusiasts exactly how to improve their physical and mental performance in their fitness activities and sports, as well as maintaining a whole body resiliency and preventing injuries. She has taught many physical active how to recover from athletic injuries through complete nutrition, replenishment, and accelerate the healing process. Mary Esther has also worked with clients wishing to improve their physical presence for special occasions, career advancements, as well as improving self-image. So we are happy to have her here tonight and have a couple of questions that we're going to go through. So she'll be able to shed a quick light on it for us. And also we'll have questions at the end. If anybody has any questions or concerns, we can address that as well. So welcome, Mary Esther Gilbert, and welcome everybody.
Thank you so much, Dr. Wilhelmina. Your credentials are highly impressive. It's wonderful to have your own center and that you're branching out and becoming a holistic doctor. We need so many more of you out there. But thank you. I'm honored to be here with you tonight.
Thank you. Okay. So the first question that I have is basically on metabolic reset. So what does metabolic reset mean and why is this important to our overall health?
Okay. I love your questions. They were so much fun to answer. Right up my alley here. So the metabolic reset, it's really important to restore those biochemical processes so the body can move toward optimal functioning. And that means improving all the synergistic effort that it does to efficiently maintain all the cellular processes that go on in the body, multiple trillions of them in all the body systems. And so you want to have those unimpaired. Those are the communications that go on between all the body systems. So we want to make sure that when the metabolism kicks up, that all this communication is taking place. So also it means improving the efficiency and the rate at which the body uses calories from food to produce energy in the cells. And that means repairing and just regenerating and transcribing the DNA, that kind of thing. So that's going to promote faster healing, and it's going to be more efficient in the detoxification and elimination processes. So then we've got optimizing the body systems and functions involved in metabolism. So we've got the nervous system, the endocrine system, the digestive system. So those are the main systems that are involved in the metabolism. So the nervous system allows rapid electrical pulse transformations of communications between all the body systems. And that means minerals and enzymes and light energy frequencies that are in whole enzyme active raw foods and also in our drops. You know, what supplement company out there can say we've got these electrical potential stored up in these little drops. And also the nervous system is going to interact with that communication of the glandular system, the endocrine system, the glands that produce all the hormones. So the hormones are the ones that regulate and communicate with the nervous system and the immune system to complete all these metabolic tasks. So we want that to be on top. The central nervous system, that includes the sympathetic and parasympathetic, nervous systems, the systems that go on their own, and the other systems that when we react to stress. So this influences the glucose and fatty acid monitoring and regulation that the body goes through. So basically, we want to focus on the blood sugar and the fat metabolism. So then we've got the brain, the hypothalamus gland in the brain. So this gland master, it actually regulates all this energy and energy expenditure from all the nutrients we put in the body, including what ends up as glucose, blood glucose, and our fatty acid metabolism, insulin secretion from the pancreas to regulate blood sugar, gut-derived satiety signals to prevent obesity and type 2 diabetes. So it's all about handling the blood sugar, and also the liver health. And how it can produce glucose, and to the extent to which it stores toxins and that kind of thing. So we have to constantly make sure the nervous system knows what's going on. Then we've got, of course, the endocrine system, the glandular system. And so the hormones produced by these glands, they control the growth, the development, the electrolytes in the body fluids, and reproduction, and of course, the endocrine system, these glands rely on the production and release and transport of hormones from the various glands through the bloodstream. And then we've got the pancreatic hormones that regulate our insulin and glucagon. So if you've got high blood sugar, then the insulin is secreted by the pancreas and to take that sugar out of the blood. And then if the blood sugar is low, then the pancreas secretes glucagon to make sure you're not lightheaded and dizzy, and the kind of thing that when people just go too long without nourishing themselves, they're going to be low in blood sugar. And also the pancreas works with the thyroid hormones. So the endocrine system is all over the place, all over the body. It monitors everything in the system. Then we've got the digestive system, which is that gut microbiome, that communication, via the vagus nerve that goes from the brain to the gut environment. So we've got to maintain the beneficial bacterial populations in there. All of this has to do with our metabolism, right? So we need to, in our digestive process, make sure that we are digesting our food properly down to the smallest micronutrients so that they can be absorbed through the cell membranes of our trillions of cells in the body. So we want to make sure that we're absorbing all those nutrients. And also, especially through the intestines, that's where the nutrient absorption process begins. So also we want to make sure we're transporting nutrients to cells of all the organs and tissues for energy production. So the key is to how well are our cells being nourished in every single system so that they can produce the energy at the cell level to make the cells go and therefore make the body go, and also to make sure that we're getting those nutrients inside there. So after proper digestion, we've got that gut microbiome, microorganism environment functions. It actually functions like an organ. If you were to describe what an organ does, then the gut microbiome certainly behaves that way. So we've got things like it's influencing nutrient absorption, and it influences one's overall well-being. I mean, your moods and your hormones that are governing your moods are going to be influenced by what's happening inside the gut. So this responds to the person's emotional stress, and endogenous stressors like poor diet or toxins in the environment, foreign substances that get in the body somehow, and even emotional, psychological, perceived threats. So all of these things will generate a whole cascade of inflammatory responses. So we want to keep that in check. So these things communicate directly with the neurohormonal, which is the nervous system, and the hormonal glandular system. So we've got this whole complex, this ecology going on in the body. So we want to make sure that there's a symbiotic interaction between uh, all of these systems so that we can have this biochemical balance, or what's called homeostasis, in order to keep the body going and make sure that the metabolism is going along efficiently.
Okay, thank you. Um, Thank you for that. Yeah, whilst you were talking, something came up. So basically, because everybody here probably answering the question for a few people, if somebody is starting and they are pretty new to this, you think the metabolic reset will be the first thing that we would recommend for them to start on, just to, because then it's basically targeting all the, the forms, the organs in the body and all the systems, like a multi-system therapy. That's how I want to put it. So they can
Absolutely.
do all that to restart and before we even move them to something else after that.
Absolutely, because these botanicals in these drops are pansystemic. They address all the body systems, and that includes phytochemical compounds that will help detoxify. So it's nothing that's going to be very severe, because you don't want a severe detoxification, because all the toxins that the person might be harboring in their bodies, especially in the fatty tissues, are going to be dumped back into the circulatory system, and that's going to make them very ill. It's going to cause a cascade of inflammatory reactions, So I think that the drops in the metabolic reset kit is a huge array of the right size molecules, so the body isn't overwhelmed and the body will
Mm-hmm.
recognize and immediately utilize.
Thank you. All right. The next question is, so we often get asked how much of a specific vitamin or mineral in the drops, like typically if you buy something over the counter, it would say 500 milligrams of vitamin C or iron, etc. Just having like a quantity of it. We know the drops are very different from our, conventional supplements or the vitamins that we have out there that most people are used to. What is the best explanation for why we can give like a unit measurement of the quantity of the vitamins and minerals in the drops?
Oh, Dr. Wilhelmina, this is such a common question, and I love it. So let's straighten this all out once and for all. We'll have it on video, and we have this document so you can fall back on. So let's go back on the nutritional labeling laws, first of all, and what's required on packages of supplements. So as of this year, June 2nd, this very month, the Government Code of Regulations on Nutritional Labeling of Dietary Supplements says any dietary ingredients that are not present or that are present in amounts that can be declared as zero shall not be declared, such as amounts corresponding to less than 2% of the recommended or the reference daily intake for vitamins and minerals. So the amount of vitamins and minerals that end up in each individual drop are very small. So the drops are not a vitamin mineral supplement. A vitamin mineral supplement usually has massive amounts of weight in grams, in milligrams, right? So let's go a little further, and I'll show you what I mean. So although the nutrient viability in the drops are preserved and the vitamin and mineral content is also preserved in the drops, the APLGO drops do not contain the massive amounts of vitamins and minerals necessary to be listed on the labels. So that's why they're not listed on our drops. They are too minute. The drops do, however, they do contain all these nutrient factors, these phytochemical compounds that are, very small, that are much smaller than these milligram measurements. They work at the microcell level, and it's the reason they're so rapidly assimilated into our cells. When you have a supplement that has massive amounts of individual vitamins and minerals that are not ideally absorbable, then they're not going to be utilizable in the body. But our drops are so much more absorbable because they're already down to the smallest micro component that will be allowed through the cell membrane into our trillions of cells. So the average human cell itself, the whole cell, is around 10 to 100 micrometers. And 1 micrometer equals 1,000th of a nanometer. So we're talking very, very small. So plant cell organelles and plant phytochemicals that are in the drops, they measure in the nanometers, which is the length, which are much smaller in weight than the much larger milligram and microgram weight amounts found in these vitamins and mineral supplements that are on the market. So a phytochemical is also small. It's so small, it's measured in Daltons, which refers to atomic mass unit weight. it's approximately equal to 1.6605 times 10 to the negative 24 grams, or point that many zeros, 166,050 grams. So you can see the difference between the drop sizes and why we're not required to list the gram or milligrams. Even a milligram would be even bigger, bigger number. But yeah, this is why. So, I mean, if we look at the nano-sized plant cell constituents that are in the plants, or, all these organs that are inside our cells called organelles. And I mean, this is easy to look up anywhere on the internet. You can see what the different components are inside of our cells that package proteins, disassemble, reassemble proteins, and help the system detoxify, correct any DNA problems that might have been damaged in the genetic sequences of our genes. Things like that are always happening all the time. Energy production through the mitochondria, as you can see up here. So, I mean, these are all very tiny. If the cells themselves are no more than 100 micrometers, is micrometers, yeah, micrometers big, then we're going to look at the tiny organelles. And everybody says, well, how does this all happen? It's so tiny. Well, it's not as tiny as you might think. If you've ever looked at the comparisons between the smallest thing that exists in the universe and the largest that exists in the universe, it's all pretty much the same thing. All the general forces of nature are present by propelling what makes everything in the universe move, and we are a part of that. And so things are going to be happening at a smaller level, but they aren't really that small, not relatively speaking. So that's why if you look at all these different plant cell constituents, then you'll see how tiny they really are. So if APLGO were to include all of the large molecules of vitamins and minerals, that are in the drops, it would be a very different supplement, right? If the drops contained large milligrams or even micrograms of the vitamins and minerals in it, it'd be a huge drop, right? We wouldn't be able to fit it in our mouth, probably. It would affect the taste too, because the B vitamin complexes are very bitter tasting. So, we love our drops, we love the taste, and we don't want anything to mess with that, right? So then we've got, it would interfere with their absorbability and utilization, since we know that the milligram sizes of these individual, sometimes synthetic vitamins or elemental minerals that aren't absorbable, we need plant-derived minerals. If those aren't absorbable, then it would be a real problem. The drops quality would greatly diminish. So then the mega doses of these vitamin mineral supplements that far exceed the nutritional supplement guidelines are often just far beyond the amounts that are naturally formed in the synergy of the whole food nutrient complexes. So when we take in whole foods and we digest them, then we're going to have just the right size so that these nutrients can enter the cell membranes and go to work. So here's an important note. Supplements containing iron are cautioned. So if you're going out and buying a multivitamin mineral supplement, then try to get one without iron in it. And make sure that all the other ingredients, the vitamins and minerals, are plant-derived. At least do that. So it brings it up to at least 40 to 60% absorbable, whereas our drops are practically 100% absorbable. So they're already in the right form and the right size. Okay, so especially for children, just I'd never recommend people taking a supplement that has iron in it at all. 18 milligrams, for children greater 4 years and adults, that's still a lot to accumulate in the liver and become very toxic eventually. So these are just the government recommended minimal, requirements for these types of nutrients. But again, if they're not in whole food complexes in whole foods, then they're not going to be very absorbable. So that I just thought I'd put that in there for you. And then just one more little chart. I love charts. When you estimate the bioavailability of vitamins and foods sourced from animals and plants, that changes things. Then the absorbability rate goes way up. We can definitely absorb the nutrients from animal-derived foods, as you can see in the red bars here. And plant-based foods, depending on the vitamin, and depending on if you're really eating a whole plant, then you're going to have the whole complexes, not just individual synthetic versions or poor versions of the original. So, the mineral supplements, like I said, they have a lower absorption rate. And like, let's take calcium, you're only absorbing 36% of 300 milligrams of calcium. And the more you try to take to try to counter that poor absorbability, the absorbability goes way down. So like 28% of a 1,000 milligram dose of calcium is only absorbed.
Thank you. That's very informative. Thank you. Um,
Sure.
yeah, and leading to the nuts. So after that, because of the herbs and fruits and vegetables that are in the drops and used for medicinal reasons, is it okay to take multiple drops daily? That is one. And do they need to be spaced out or can they be taken together? Also, can an individual take too many in a day, or will there be a harmful side effects, if any, or multiple at a time?
Okay, yeah, this is another great question. So we're kind of conditioned and programmed to when we take a pill, it's going to act right away. And there's precautions, because drugs don't work the same way as nutrients do in the body. So the drops are actually a whole food supplement. Our cells recognize nutrients from whole food nutrient complexes as what scientists call self. So when the body recognizes something that is no danger, but actually very beneficial and very much needed, that means that it recognizes these molecular compounds and it identifies them very quickly. Our DNA is very, very astute at recognizing what belongs in the body and what doesn't. So we're going to have the utmost bioavailability, whether it's a whole healthy food that we're ingesting or the drops. So in both instances, we are able to absorb the nutrients. So we've got multiple trillions of biochemical processes going on in our multiple trillions of cells. So taking the multiple drops is like taking multiple foods at a meal. We have all these different categories of foods that we put together for a full course meal. Uh, uh, other than overeating, it's usually pretty good for us. We've got an array of very different nutrients all in one place, and our body's going to definitely take that up and use it all. So the drops, taking multiple drops, is like taking multiple foods at a meal, without overeating, of course. But with the drops, we don't have to worry about overeating. We've got the concentrated nutrients right there that are ready to be utilized right away. So the drops, they contain the genetic codes and all these other organelles in the plants that are completely biocompatible with our human cells because their functions are almost identical. So what composes the cells of plants and what composes the cells in our bodies, they do the same functions. The only difference is that plants have chloroplasts that allow plants to produce their own food. Human cells do not have chloroplasts, so we can't produce our own food. We have to take it in exogenously. And then the plant cell outer membranes are fibrous, whereas our human cell outer membranes are plasmic, fluid, flexible, and so they can readily accept nutrients through the cell membranes. So our dynamic, ever-changing trillions of cells in our bodies, they perform millions of, cellular processes every single moment we live. Because of the sheer number of biochemical processes that the body performs all the time, it'll very likely utilize the much needed nutrients in the drops immediately, since they are already at the size that can readily enter the cells. And depending on one's current state of health, the initial mild and temporary possible concerns are these, and they're temporary. Notice I say initial, mild, temporary, and possible. Those are all it may sound non-committal, but that's how safe the drops are. So if a person is very ill and they're harboring a lot of toxins in their body, they might experience detoxification effects because these biochemical compounds in the botanicals in the drops are very cleansing and detoxify, and they'll go to work and they'll start eliminating what doesn't belong in the body in various ways. So there's various ways that phytochemicals work in the body. So again, they're temporary. You might have mild skin outbreaks, loose bowel movements, or even diarrhea. You might feel achy. You might even have feels like a low-grade fever, and that's the immune system regulating the body temperature to rid the body of pathogenic organisms. That means bacteria, viruses, fungi, parasites, any organism that causes illness, right? And then we've got increased urine output, as those phytochemical complexes in the botanicals, they help cleanse the blood in the kidneys and other organs like the liver, especially if one drinks plenty of purified spring water to assist this flushing out process. And also a person might experience the great desire to sleep. If their body is inundated with all these perfect nutrients and it's utilizing them as fast as it can, then your body's going to tell you, okay, you need to just rest so I can do the work. So that's pretty much it. If the person has the desire to sleep, don't think it's the drops that have, you know, anything that's going to put you to sleep. It's just your body saying it's time to do the healing work, and it does its best healing work when it's asleep. So then we've got the essential and vital nutrients in the drops. You know, they're in the most biocompatible form. They're safe and naturally formed nutrient factors that are used by the body to promote, you know, the fact that we are alive. It's awesome, you know, what they do for the body. The drops are so effective, they're not necessarily needed to be taken in high doses. You know, we think in terms of doses because we've been taught to watch our doses of like aspirins or any prescribed medications. So nutrients are not drugs. They're exactly what the body needs to keep regenerating and perpetuating all of our cells. So we have to make that distinction, you know, between the life-promoting essential nutrients the body's waiting for to complete all of its trillions of tasks versus a drug mindset of expecting immediate effects without always being wary of the side effects and possible harmful overdoses. So drugs are made, you know, as you know, only for specific purposes, and they do a specific job. And so, you know, they have to kind of outsmart how the body will detect something that isn't a nutrient, you know, which is what the drug industry has done so brilliantly. I don't know how they do that, but that's how the way the drugs work. But you know, there's always the possible harmful overdoses of these prescriptions. So that the doses are very, very specific and very strict about that, right? So again, drugs aren't nutrients. They don't heal. I guess they shut off mechanisms so that the body doesn't feel the symptoms. And if there's any healing, then I think it's the body's way of healing itself. I really believe that after seeing, you know, so many years of nutrients restoring the body back toward normalcy. And even if they were under prescription medications, I never told my clients to get off the drugs. I'm not a medical doctor, so I would have been shut down immediately, you know. But the nutrients were always chosen by the body, and my clients got well, even though the literature said the drugs might have certain side effects, but the nutrients were always doing the healing work and restoring my body's health, my clients' health. So when they went back to their medical doctors, the medical doctors would say, "Great, keep doing what you're doing," you know, and they would say, "Okay, I'm going to have to wean you off the drug, or you don't need this anymore," and they just stop the prescriptions for them. So that's always a very high indication that nutrients work, right?
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, just to reiterate on that point, absolutely. Just doing this for the last couple of years, I've noticed that weaning people off their regular medications because they've introduced the nutrients into their diet, you're actually seeing a more advanced way of like health, you know, in general, feeling good, and they are coming off all the other medications that, you know, to be honest, it's toxic, you know, to the liver, the kidneys, and it's not doesn't get rid of it in our body as much. So thank you
Yeah,
for that.
you're
Yeah,
welcome.
and
Thank you.
just focusing on two most important, I think is my favorite because I kind of recommend this a lot, HPR and MLS. So would you consider it important to take HPR and MLS, and how does the body detoxify? What are the
Okay.
pathways of elimination the body uses to get rid of the toxicity? And when doing a metabolic reset, why is detox like a priority, like big deal?
Oh, excellent. Yes. Well, because we accumulate toxins all of our lives, it's generational too. We've been accumulating toxins from one generation to the next for so long. Um, and you know, there's a school of thought out there in the scientific community that says, well, it's the accumulation of these toxins that are causing a lot of the health issues, the learning disorders and attention deficit disorders and all these other spectrums, right? That have been increased in the population that used to be very rare. But and I kind of think that way too. I haven't really verified that kind of research, but you know, you hear it in this when you're in the scientific arena, you hear that a lot. So we have phytonutrient compounds, right, in the botanicals, in the drops, that have been found to be excellent chelators. So that means molecularly they're binding to these synthetic chemicals so that the body can eliminate them more easily. How exactly that's described, you know, in the most technical scientific literature, we'd have to just read it, you know, because
Mhm.
their methods for showing this are extremely, you know, very scientific and very advanced. But they've shown that it neutralizes their toxic effects and removes or eliminates the foreign substances that don't belong in the body that are responsible for impairing all these normal functions, because they are very clogging and they are very disrupting to the normal processes of the cells. So the main eliminative detoxification channels in the body is the skin, which is the biggest organ in the body. And so if you have a breakout from the skin, then your body's detoxing something, or the skin cells aren't being regenerated properly. And usually it's some kind of nutrient deficiency, normally the wrong kinds of fats and too much sugar and not enough of the essential vitamins and minerals and plant compounds. So that will all contribute towards skin problems. And then there's the lungs. Anything we inhale, we've got, from the nose down to all the way into the pathways that go all the way to the lungs, all the way down to the tiny little alveoli where oxygen exchange really takes place. So all these pathways have to be cleared out. And so we've got the liver too. The poor liver is always, storing toxins, and it's trying to function, but that can be, even if it's very damaged, it can be scarred, and so the circulation of the liver is impaired. So all these problems with the liver too. And the kidneys, those are another filtration, very important filtration that's in there. So all these circulatory pathways in the kidneys need to be cleared as well. And we've got the lymphatic vessels. The blood vessels are one circulation in the body, and the lymphatic vessels are another way of distributing the immune cells. And actually, the lymph nodes, they're nodules, right? And they have little tiny circulation pathways as well. And the synthetics can get caught in there and clog things up so that the lymph system is not circulating properly. So you're not getting the immune system, the immune cells out throughout the body to police it and to see what's wrong out there, if there's anything wrong that needs to be alerted. And also, of course, there's the bowels. So we have to keep the digestive system clear. So we have to take in the fiber and the high water content foods and the vitamin mineral complexes in the plants. And the drops also, as tiny as they are, they actually work to, they can actually extract the plaques that form in the lower intestine, in the gut, in the bowels. So all of these elimination pathways are so important to get rid of things that don't belong in the body. So like I said, we've got generational accumulations of toxic exposure to all these synthetic chemicals that are there's hundreds of thousands of chemicals that are everywhere. They're in the environment, like the heavy metals. We've got synthetic ingredients in the consumer products. We've got agrochemicals, chemical trails in the sky. Their fallout damage ecosystems and they pollute our water sources. They've all taken their toll on the human health. So they're proven to be, and much of the scientific research I've discovered in recent years has really intensified. There wasn't much proof back even a few years ago, but now it's known that these toxins that are everywhere, they are carcinogenic. They can compromise the immune system functioning, of not being able to identify and destroy abnormal cells. That's how cancer, one of the reasons cancer gets started. And then we've got the disruption of the genetic codes of instructions of the DNA. So we've got a whole bunch of biochemical malfunctions because the DNA instructions that run the whole body are incorrect. And so, that's another reason for causing cancer. And then we've got hormone disruptors. They impair those glandular functions that direct the starting and stopping of all these cellular processes, and they're interfering with the communication with the brain and the nervous system. So therefore, if the body's not putting out, if it's putting out defective hormones or not enough hormones or an imbalance of hormones, depending on what the toxin is, it's going to affect moods and perceptions and emotions and learning, by the way, and then affect blood glucose and fat metabolism because a lot of those molecules are very similar to these synthetics. So the body has trouble distinguishing between the two. So then we've got associated birth defects. And then we've got the nervous system, brain damaging items, damage and destruction of the nerve cells themselves. And it's going to affect cognition, memory, and learning. And then it's damaging to the cardiovascular system. It's going to damage and weaken the blood vessels. Of course, it's going to lead to heart disease. And also, these synthetics are known to form hardened plaques in the arteries. So a lot of times people believe that heart disease is because of cholesterol or animal-derived foods. fats, in the foods, when in fact a lot of them are composed of these synthetic chemicals or also the plasticized oils when people heat their oils too much. And then it's also, of course, going to affect all the the glands that are associated with reproduction and plus digestion and the gut environment. So all of this, all these systems are going to be affected. So we need to make sure that we're getting those systems cleared out so that there aren't any of these disruptions, and stay away from the synthetics and the harmful chemicals as much as you possibly can. And as far as the heparin MLS, there are a few in each formulation that I pulled out of my book, the APLGO Nutritional Health Guide. So we have the artichoke, the globe artichoke leaf, and that has been shown, and this is very verifiable scientific references in my book. It's been shown to improve insulin secretion, so it aids the pancreas functioning, modulates energy and glucose metabolism, improves fat and overall metabolism, helps support the liver cells, the hepatocyte metabolism, so that's going to improve cholesterol and digestion of fats and carbohydrates. So then we've got the peach. It improves metabolism and digestion. It contains pectin, like apples and pears do, that help reduce the low-density lipoprotein, the less desirable, kind of cholesterol in the blood. And then we've got the organic acids that do so many great things for the body, like quinic, citric, malic acids. There's thousands of them. And they help the body's acid-alkaline balance. So you don't want to be too acidic. You'll get inflammation and pains. All these things go wrong when the body is not in the right pH balance. Anywhere from 6.5 to 7 is the proper balance if you want to stay away from feeling, aches and pains and inflammation. Involved in stimulating the optimal functioning of the stomach and pancreas. Just overall, just improve, all these metabolic processes. And then we've got the dandelion root. More phytochemical compounds like lutein, violazanthin, atharaxanthin, zeaxanthin, neoxanthin, and chlorophyll. I mean, there's thousands of them, all of which they have liver cleansing, detoxifying, anti-inflammatory properties for the liver and the gallbladder, for digesting fats, and the whole entire digestive tract. So the dandelion root is pretty much a detoxifier. The milk thistle, same thing, it detoxifies the liver and the kidneys because of their flavonoids and all these flavonoid derivatives like the flavonolignans involved in the detoxification. And then it's got silymarin too. That has the ability to stabilize our cell membranes. So that also prevents toxic chemicals from entering the cell. So now in the MLS, there's a couple here in the MLS. Again, the artichoke, improving all the same functions. And then the dandelion root, as we looked at up here. And then the papaya, that's a great anti-inflammatory. It helps detoxify and repair and protect the liver. And it's an excellent digestive aid. All these enzymes that are in the raw papaya will go through and they'll actually help the body reduce micro scarring in the tissues. When you have inflammatory reactions and there's damage to the tissues and organs, then the papaya is great for going in there and breaking up those tough little scarring, made out of the proteins, and so that will help to reduce that. And also, any dyspeptic problems that affect moods. If you're going to have any digestive problems, of course, it's going to make you irritable and even depressed, depending on what's going on in the gut. But yeah, the MLS and the HEPR are excellent for helping the body, improve its metabolism.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, on to the next one. And this is exciting because I recently, was it May that it came out? They had a cardiovascular kit. I was so excited because it was always hard to try and put a few together. And that's, of course, my special area. So I was excited about it and the other kits. So which botanicals support cardiovascular health? That's like a big question.
Okay, like I said, these botanicals in these drops are so pan-systemic. They'll address all these different body systems. But when we have these calls and we're focusing on like the Metabolic Reset Kit, we're going to look at anything that helps with the metabolism, right? So then the GRW has currant, olive, and rowan berry. These are anti-inflammatory. They clear the blood. They're great for the heart muscle and the blood vessels. And so the GTS, the apple, magnolia, vine, fruit, and pineapple. Pineapple is another one like the papaya with proteolytic enzymes that are so great for dissolving, things that have been hardened or like plaques or micro scarring and things like that. Pepper has the avocado, dandelion root, raisin, and turmeric root. Those are awesome. The HRT has the hawthorn flower, world famous for helping the heart regulate itself properly, raspberry and wild strawberry. The MLS has the chamomile, the German chamomile, cinnamon bark, currant, dandelion root, grapefruit, papaya, and turmeric.
That's amazing. Thank you. Okay. And then which botanicals support energy levels? And is this like drinking an energy drink?
I love this question, Dr. Wilhelmina. Thank you for that.
A lot of people
Okay.
drink energy drinks, and so
Oh,
it'll be good to
have I
know.
got
Yeah.
have I got some information for you all? Okay, you'll never want to touch another energy drink again. All
Thank
right,
you.
so they do not address the cell's energy needs. Okay, so let me go into it here. So they severely fall short of providing any kind of nutrients for producing energy inside of our cells. So the botanicals in the metabolic reset group of drops, I mean, they'll support perpetual energy production cycle in the cells, right? We're constantly producing this unit of energy called ATP to make the cells keep going and going and going. Also promoting the strength and endurance during exercise. These drops will, they have those phytochemical compounds in some of these drops. They really help a person with exercise. Reducing recuperation time and better muscle cellular recovery after exercise. Some people are totally wiped out for days after they try exercising for a lot of reasons. And I go into that in one of my books. So increasing mental alertness, attention, and mental stamina. Obviously, it's working on the brain and the nervous system. The glandular hormonal system functions of generating the hormones that we need, the 10,000 or so hormones we make every single day. So the plant compounds in these drops support the cell energy production processes. So these are all the botanicals. I don't have to read them out to you, but these are all the drops that include all these botanicals. And I do talk about them in great detail in the book. So, if you want to find out exactly what these botanicals do for the body, it's not just about, producing energy in the cell, then it's something you want to look at. So this is how our cells use nutrients. They're not synthetic chemicals. Our cells don't use synthetic chemicals for producing energy. And these energy drinks have very harmful synthetic chemicals. And I'll show you the ingredients in a moment. So food is digested and reduced to the fundamental units of glucose, amino acids, and fatty acids for energy production in the cells. Once we digest foods, those are the fundamental molecules that we use to rebuild everything we need in the body. Inside the cells, the nutrients are used to release the unit of energy, ATP, adenosine triphosphate. So ATP is produced continuously by our cell mitochondria through the process of what's called phosphorylation, and that involves the transfer of electrons and protons along these transport chains of molecules. And I'll show you a visual of that in a moment. So during this energy producing cycle, also known as the Krebs cycle, energy is extracted from the molecules that have been broken down from food. And this Krebs cycle is a metabolic pathway that generates energy in the form of NAD plus NADH, which is then used in the phosphorylation to produce ATP. So I'll show you this whole chain reaction of how we get to produce this one unit of energy called ATP. It's fascinating. So then we've got the nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide, NAD plus and NADH. This is a universal coenzyme. That's why we need vitamins. Vitamins are coenzymes that plays a central role in cellular metabolism. Okay, so it's all of our metabolism has to do with what's going on in our multiple trillions of tiny little cells. So this combination acts as a donor and acceptor of electrons in these redox reactions within all eukaryotic cells, which are animal cells and plant cells and human cells, influencing various enzymes and processes. So we know about the drops. They have negatively charged particles in them, negatively charged ions, and they're utilized to take part in this energy producing process and this phosphorylation that takes place in changing energy or molecules from one form to another. Okay, so again, looking at the human cell, we've got the flexible, pliable plasmic membrane that surrounds the cell organelles, and of course, here's the mitochondria, the energy production sites, and here's a blow up of the mitochondria. The mitochondria has its outer membrane as well as its inner membrane, and all of the energy producing factories that are inside. So these membranes are within the cell membrane, of course, on the outside. But when you look at the mitochondria, these are the mechanics of changing from one form of a molecule to another, having to do with whether it's negatively charged, positively charged, and so it gets converted to different biochemicals in this chain, this phosphorylation pathway that ends up with throwing off water, and also ending up with the unit of energy that makes our cells go, called ATP. So this is why the mitochondria is so important. It has other functions too, not just for energy production. Very surprising. All of these organelles are just phenomenal. What keeps us alive is always so amazing. So here's another old-fashioned look at the Krebs cycle. I remember this back in the 70s when I took my first physiology class and microbiology. I mean, all the science courses, they talk about the energy production cycle. This is pretty much the same thing. It's going from one form of a molecule to another, and this phosphorylation chain reaction is going on, right? Ending up with the production of the ATP molecule, which fuels us, right? So I thought it might be fun to see that energy production. Now, these energy drinks do not do any of that. They're useless. They're harmful. And let me show you why. So this particular energy drink, so-called energy drink, it has 37 grams of sugar. That's a lot of sugar to dump into a bloodstream at once. Your pancreas is going to work overtime. And then they have the sugar-free version, which is worse, if that is possible. They've got the artificial sweeteners like aspartame, asulfame K, sucralose. These are all found to be genotoxic. In other words, they damage our DNA, leads to mutations and eventually cancer, linked to an increased risk of cardiovascular disease. So now we've got 1,000 milligrams of synthetic taurine. So taurine is an amino acid made in the body. It's found all over the place, in the lower intestine, the heart, the brain, skeletal muscle. It's a component of bile when we need to digest fats, and it's naturally present in meat, seafood, and eggs. So our bodies can make taurine, but not in those massive amounts. 1,000 milligrams. Whenever you have one individual ingredient that, even if the body makes it, when you have a huge amount like that bombarding the system, there's not going to be anything to meet that biochemistry or that biocompatibility to do anything with. It's going to overpower and cause side effects. It's going to cause this chain reaction of problems. So then caffeine, it's got 80 milligrams of caffeine. I thought it didn't have it, but it does. 80 milligrams, that's equivalent to a large cup of coffee, so the caffeine's not really the culprit. People who are used to drinking coffee all the time, it's not going to be that much of a problem. So that's the least of the problems. If someone stays away from these energy drinks, caffeine does not participate in any of the cellular energy production processes. It is a stimulant to the nervous system. It's like, sticking your finger in a socket and you get this burst of electrical responses, right? But that's no way to charge or provide your cells with energy. Now, this one is probably the worst one. The I don't even know how to pronounce it. Glucuronololactone. Okay. It's a form of sugar that naturally occurs in connective tissues. Okay, so yeah, our bodies can produce whatever it needs, and sometimes science takes things like that out and puts them in drinks or foods or other, drugs or whatever, but excessive consumption of this is found to increase heart rate, blood pressure, causing headache, nausea, and dizziness. I guess people mistake that for a burst of energy. It's completely different from caffeine. So this product, I said this product has no caffeine, but that's not correct. I forgot about the 80 milligrams of caffeine in there. So I'm removing it from this document here. And so, these group of scientists, Higgins et al., it's going to be in the reference section at the end of this document. So then we've got synthetic artificial flavors and dyes. All of these dyes are so toxic. They're linked to damaging the nervous system, which affects the behavior of children, as you can see here. Red number 40, yellow 5 and 6, blue 1 and 2, red 3, banned by the FDA,
Mhm.
green 3, banned in other countries. So, it just depends on how much a person is going to take this. But if this is a person's regular beverage and they're giving it to their children, then there's going to be some health issues, right? So artificial dyes are known to contain contaminants known to cause cancer. So in the process of generating or creating artificial dyes in the laboratories, then it's going to have these toxic, side effects known to cause cancer.
Mm. Thank you so much. That is really eye-opening. Wow.
Yeah,
Amazing. You never know what is in the can until you actually do the research.
right. It's right on the label too.
I know, right? Okay. Yeah. What botanicals support our endocrine system? What would you recommend that's stable for our endocrine
Yes.
system?
Okay, so pulling out of the nutritional, the APLGO Nutritional Health Guide, uh, the GRW has reishi mushroom, and so it contains adenosine, and that's part of the molecule for the ATP molecule, improves circulation, lowers cholesterol, burns fats, regulates the endocrine system, and therefore your metabolism, helps in energy production and boosts stamina. And the apple in it has pectins, great heart
Mm-hmm.
healthy pectins, soluble fibers, lowers blood cholesterol, aids cholesterol removal in the liver, promotes normal growth hormone in the pituitary master gland. So those two super foods that are in the GRW will help support the glandular system. And then we've got Empower Apricot, the apricot itself. That's a superfood in itself too. It has carotenoids and all kinds of other phytochemical compounds that are too numerous to mention here that help maintain the proper endocrine gland functions. And the Power Lemon and Power Apricot both have the Damiana leaf, restoring blood normal levels. Does Stephanie have a question? Oh, she muted herself. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, so the Damiana is going to restore levels of the female hormones and endocrine system functioning, as well as the precursors that are in these plants are not gender specific because they're precursors. So they've got this array of molecular substances that the body will pick and choose just what it needs depending on your gender. So, in our DNA instructions, definitely makes the distinctions between male and females. So when we take in the Damiana, it's not going to turn you into a female, okay? Rather, those plant compounds are going to be used by females for this specific purpose, and that's reflecting the scientific research, nothing more. So
Mm-hmm.
it's found to increase libido in both genders, and it supports the human reproductive system and fertility in both genders, contains the resins, the tannins, and 35 other phytochemicals that are antioxidants and anti-inflammatories that are also serving to improve a person's reproductive system. And we've got the slide, the balsam pear, the polyphenols in there are aiding the endocrine system. And then we've got cherry. It contains melatonin. That's the hormone that's produced in the brain's pineal gland, and it's shown to counter negative effects of the adrenal gland functions during stress and improve sleep cycles. So that is what is in the botanicals that support the endocrine system.
Yeah. Wow, grow. That's amazing. And then for the lymphatic system, there we go, grow again.
Yeah. So, like I said, they have all these different phytochemical compounds that address
Mm-hmm.
different body systems. So, the husk tomato, we're running out of time, so I'm going to zip right through these. Purple
Mm-hmm.
coneflower or echinacea, reishi mushroom, grapeseed. Everybody will have access to this document if you want to look at it more closely, and I hope you can read it fast. But the GRW and the MLS, they contain all these different plants. And of course, it's redundant because the body will use different phytochemical compounds for different body systems. And that's a very smart thing that APLGO did, is to use some of these again in different formulations, the norm and again the power apricot, the slide, and the stop. So all of these phytochemicals will definitely help with the lymphatic system.
The lymphatic system.
Yes.
Okay. And then the main two ones, the male and the female hormones. That's like a big deal when it comes to hormonal imbalances, especially with females and then males as well. Yeah.
Yes. So, we do produce about 10,000 hormones. That's what the scientific literature has counted so far. And they're probably discovering more and more. But we've got the GRW and the GTS. Again, these phytochemical compounds, now this aspect of these plants we're focusing on the phytosterols or the plant steroids. So I did a whole video on the differences between synthetic steroids used in the sports industry and the sterols, the natural plant sterols that are in plants. They're in every plant, so don't be afraid of the sterols. You know, they're just a precursor to a wonderful precursor. These molecules are even better than fats and other nutrient compounds, but they will help you create the right balance of hormones. And so again, you know, between the male and female, it's going to be a different set of hormones, some of it, you know, so don't be afraid of these plant sterols. So the GRW, the GTS, and the HPR, the HRT, MLS norm, and the apricot, power apricot and power lemon, the RLX, the slide, and the stop, they all have these amazing precursors called the plant steroids.
Wow, thank you. And any contraindications, because the question will be if I'm on medications already, can I take these nutraceuticals? Can I take these botanicals?
Okay, so in order to determine that, this gets very complex. So a person who's taking drugs need to consult their physician. And together, they should know what the side effects are and what the specific information is. And where you can go is to go to the Medline Plus database, where you have a list of drug nutrient interactions of any drug you're taking and any supplement you might be taking that has the vitamins and minerals that could affect, you know, how a drug is affecting the body. So certain nutrients are claimed to interfere with the drug's absorption in all these different ways. You know, a food can impair or delay a drug absorption. Certain foods may reduce drug absorption or interfere with the drug's effectiveness. Nutrient deficiencies may affect a drug's absorption. Foods like grapefruit can interfere with some drugs by how enzymes metabolize them. Certain foods may interfere with drug metabolism, so they can accelerate metabolism, inhibit metabolism, change the bacterial conditions in the gut, and may contain compounds that adversely interact with the drugs. So foods are not dangerous. Our bodies will choose the right molecules to do whatever healing and restorative work it needs. So if there's a drug in the system, speak with your physician and make sure you both are knowledgeable, you know, about which food might interact with a specific drug. So this information about specific drugs should have information about which foods may change. So we're not going to be afraid of eating foods, you know, that's crazy. Certain foods and nutrients may alter the ability to excrete drugs. They may adversely affect kidney functions or filtering out drugs, may affect functions of the body's cytochrome P450 enzymes, and those are the enzymes in the body that are always policing and looking to make sure that any toxin or foreign substance is going to be eliminated or processed or overseen, you know, however it's going to have an effect on the body. And interference with nutrient absorption. So some drugs may affect nutrient absorption. Make sure you know what drugs are may be doing that. And some drugs may block absorption, the ability to synthesize nutrients, causing deficiencies. So we don't want that either. So here is the link, you know, to go to the Medline Plus National Library of Medicine under the Department of Health and Human Services. So I threw in some free stuff too, just in addition, I couldn't help myself. So these are the body systems that are involved in metabolism, and these are the scientific references that you can study all about each one of these and how that works in your body metabolism. And here's the scientific references I used. And if anybody wants to, you know, dive into the scientific research on each one of these botanicals and all the amazing things they do for the body, everybody knows where to get the book.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mary Esther Gilbert. Thank you. There was one question, but I think you already answered that. The question in the audience was, so are the nutrient amounts more in alignment with homeopathics? Which I think you already addressed that. Yeah.
Can you repeat that, Dr. Wilhelmina? There was an interruption.
He says, so are the nutrient amounts more in alignment with homeopathics?
Okay, homeopathic medicine utilizes minute amounts, you know, or specific phytochemical compounds in their formulations. So they're not going to be like a nutrition, you know, it's not going to be completely whole food based. So it's more like a medicinal medical kind of approach.
Does that answer your question, John? Yeah. Okay. So
yeah, I mean, you have to talk to a homeopathic or a naturopathic doctor and see if they can help you with whatever you might need, because that's a whole other, it's more of I've always considered a medical approach, because I was going to I was going to get my naturopathic physician's license at one point. But when I learned that they weren't really using nutrition for healing like my other studies and my other education, did, I wanted to stay in that vein rather than gravitate toward the medical industry.
Yeah. It's more like using alternative medicine to try it. Yeah. Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you. Do we have any other questions? There's
Yeah,
okay,
someone's
there's
had
an answer here. It says, I am a naturopathic and homeopathic doctor, and they are not the same as this. There was an answer in the audience. Yeah. Okay.
That's right. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, doctor.
Thank you, Dr. Lee. Yeah. Okay. Does anyone has any questions? We still have like almost out of time. I don't see any in the chart. Okay, I think
Thank you,
there's,
Lily.
yeah, I think I've got, I think there's no, yeah, I think that's all of it. Yeah, no other questions. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Mary Esther Gilbert. Thank you so much, and all the education you provided today. I appreciate it a lot. You've really gone into, I'm going to take my time and actually read through the booklet so I can digest it all. But yeah, that's very informative. Thank you for answering all these questions. I know there was a lot to do, but I appreciate your
I loved
time
it.
and I appreciate you going through all of it. Yeah.
I absolutely loved your questions, Dr. Wilhelmina. Thank you for that. And it's been my honor and my pleasure to be here with you and everyone else, always.
And can you elaborate? I know you have the book. I know for those who are new here, listening to you, if you can just make a little snippet summary about your book so, everyone can get there in the link so they can get it and be able to read more and get more information. There we
Yeah,
go.
just go to holisticchoices.com and click on APLGO, that link on the side, and it'll take you right to the APLGO page where I put all of our videos on. Someone was asking where to get the video. The APLGO posts the video within 24 hours or 48 hours. And so you can go in that area of the website and grab it, and view it. But I always post it both on my YouTube channel and also on the APLGO page at my website, holisticchoices.com.
Thank you. And the link is in the chat, everyone. So if you want to copy and paste that, that'll be awesome too. Yeah. All right.
And Jana has a question.
Oh,
Jana, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
yes.
So I'm currently taking the, oh shoot. Hang on 1 second. I'm taking the liver detox and the I guess it's the metabolism reset, the 2, or there are 3 in the metabolism reset. I was a little late getting on today.
Okay, there's a whole lot of them in the Metabolic
Yeah.
Reset Kit. Let me show you what they are. Okay, so let me go back up here real quick. At the very top, actually.
I'm taking the HPR and the MLS.
Oh, the heparin. Okay.
Okay,
And
yeah.
because those Deborah told me those would be the good ones to start with. And then
Yes.
so I'm not able to take them more than 2 days in a row though, or they put me into a complete flush everything out kind of a thing. So I'm wondering what I need to add to help support my system as my liver is dumping what it needs to dump and my gut's getting itself cleared out.
Okay, and how often do you take them?
I take them 1 every other day, and occasionally I'll take them 2 in a day, two days in a row. But if I take 3 in a row, I have to stay really, really close to the bathroom.
Yeah. That's how detoxifying and cleansing they are. So how much water are you drinking? You want to make sure you drink plenty of water, and make sure you're eating nothing but healthy foods, because that's going to make a huge difference.
Okay, that probably is my diet then.
Yeah, it usually is. People don't know. But please go to my YouTube channel and watch those videos. They're so educational. And if you have, I know they're going to be time consuming, but once you get that education, you'll be so glad you did. You'll know exactly what to eat, what not to eat, and why, and also watching our history of our Zoom calls. They have a lot of great information. And then when you go to my website, you can download these documents like the one you're looking at right now, They're PDF documents. They're free to download, to your computer or print out and make yourself a book, but that'll just keep reminding you of why you have to eat healthy, because your body's going to tell you, if you're not.
Okay. Yeah, I find that I've been taking it for about 2.5 weeks or 3 weeks now. And I'm finding that I have to really remind myself to eat. I'm not hungry. I don't want to eat anything. And when I do eat, my stomach's upset. So I'm just trying to find some different, I have some excess. I know I have some storage that needs to be used up, but but I also don't want to lose muscle, and I don't want to lose my energy levels either. So
Yeah. I just posted the latest video I did with my True Health Mastery Institute members, and it's on YouTube right now. You might want to look at that, because you want to make sure that you're giving your body the energy that it needs, right? We just talked all about how the cells use energy and what they need, but also how to dip into your body fat stores without wasting away your lean body mass, your muscles, your tendons, and your cartilage, things like that. And of course, your brain and your organs, you want to keep them intact too. But you want to focus on a lot of the plant foods, but eat smaller quantities. You don't want to inundate yourself with too much fiber right now. That's going to be another aspect of detoxification, plus the phytochemicals that are in the fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds and all those wonderful plant foods that we eat. But and get enough protein, and be careful not to use oils when you are cooking, because they disrupt your digestive process. They clog everything that we talked about tonight. So you want to leave out all of those plasticized oils. They turn into plastics when you heat them. So if you eliminate that and focus only on the raw foods, quality proteins, in smaller quantities, just to test, just to feel how your body's going to respond, it will adjust. It's going to undergo this right now. It's undergoing this tremendous reset. It's undergoing a lot of healing, and it's getting rid of years accumulation of toxins. You want to stay away from the white sugar, white flour, white rice, arena, and all of the processed foods, because that's going to clog things up. That's going to disrupt this healing process that you're undergoing right now. And continue those drops.
okay. Thank you.
You're welcome, Jenna.
All right. Anyone else? Let's see. Looks like we're good with questions. Okay, on that note, do you want to say something? Go ahead.
I just wanted to say two things. For Gail, I will be sending you that link tonight in response to your text, okay? And Lily, please send me a good link to send you the link to your not APLGO book, the book that you bought. I think it's the Nutritional Synergy book. I can't get through to your email to send you that link. You paid for the book. Send me the link so I can send you send me your email that I can use so that I can send you that link. And that's pretty much it. I've been trying to reach you forever, so I thought this is a good opportunity to take advantage of to get that through. But anyway, thanks everybody. It's been great.
Oh, one last one. Sorry, Master Gilbert. Is olive oil okay to cook with?
No, do not heat these healthy oils. They are their molecular structure is very sensitive to heat, light, and oxygen. So they have to be refrigerated at all times in tightly closed containers. They're very reactive. They can turn a very healthy oil like olive oil into a toxic compound. Okay, so and eventually, if you leave olive oil out and you don't refrigerate it over time, it's going to be carcinogenic. And these are very reactive molecules. They're very, very important for our health. So they have to be preserved. That's why eating the whole food fats, the raw nuts and seeds kind of thing that contain a lot of these healthy fats that the olive oil has, must be refrigerated too and eaten, in small quantities, because they are fats. They have a lot more calories than the other food groups. But yeah, do not heat your oils. And meat and butter fats, those are much different molecules. They can take the heat. You don't want to burn them, but they can take cooking much better and have their molecules still intact. So the animal fats are just as important for our health as the plant oils are.
Okay. And I think on the detox part, the HPR, the heparin MLS can be taken forever, or is it just a 3-month detox? Like, is there a timeline as to how many you should take and what period you can take to detox?
If you're already detoxed, then your body's going to use those plant compounds, those nutrient factors in other ways. So if your body doesn't feel like it needs to eliminate anything, if it's already done that job, then it's going to turn around and use all the different array of different phytonutrients in all these different plants in so many different ways. So we've got, like I said, multiple trillions of cellular processes going on every single moment that we're alive. It's always going to use these plant compounds in one way or another. So I don't think there's a way to overdose on anything like that. I mean, your body will say, okay, that's enough. I'm not hungry. I don't feel like eating one anymore. So you once you learn to trust that, then you can read your own body, and give it what it needs when you feel like eating it.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of responses are saying they've been taking it for years. I've been taking it for the last year and a half, and yeah, I just continue to detox because you're always having toxins in your body every single day, environmental, nutritional, all of that. So
yeah, we have to
thank you.
detox daily. Yeah.
Okay, I think that's it. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you. This is amazing. Oh, I really appreciate this. This is amazing. Everyone go to the link so you can take your time and read more about it and reach out to your reps out there if you have any further questions. Okay.
Thank you.
All
You
right.
guys did
Thank
amazing
you,
tonight.
everybody. Thank you,
Thanks,
everyone.
Deborah.
Have a good evening. Thanks, Deb.
Thank you very much. Are we having
My
a
mom
meeting
has
after this?
something to say.